Hello and welcome. It's the Build with Baer Workshop. My name is Pat Baer. I'm here to build a model kit and to hang out with all of you. I'm throwing the Bear Cave, the Lego, the Scythe, the Tier 2 blue emote in the chat. If you are currently a subscriber, reply with those emotes. If you are not yet a subscriber, you can say hi or use other people's emotes. Or if you feel like being a lurker, you can go ahead and just be a lurker, and that's okay. Just hang out. Ghost Valve is here. Lashberg is here. Throwing in the words of the emotes, not the actual emote, which I assume means that you need to renew your subscription with your Prime Gaming token. That's going to be my guess, is that your subscription is up because you were able to write them out, but then it didn't work and it failed immediately. That's my guess, Lashberg. Don't hold me to that. I don't know. But welcome. And welcome to everybody that's, not saying anything. That's also okay. It's Thursday. The plan is to work on the Gundam Rose. The Gundam Rose. I got part of it right there. I can show you right there with the old Gundam Rose. It's a new kit. Lastbrick says, appeared on my end, but yes, my sub does expire today. Yeah, it did not appear on my end. I don't know. Tony the Swordsman's here and saying, love G Gundam. I appreciate G Gundam. There's a lot to like about G Gundam and a lot to be concerned about. Like, Meadow at last says, I like G Gundam. Lord Crashin says, hey, Pat. Hello. So, on the plus sides of G Gundam, you've got Domon. Fantastic main pilot. You've got Master Asia, which is just like a great archetype, great name, great. Look at a guy with such an evil Gundam that was not supposed to be a villain. You were not supposed to think is a villain. And you look at that Gundam and you go, no, that's not a good guy. There's just so much going on in that series that there's a lot, right? And then there's the girl pilot doesn't have a Gundam that is related to their countries, which is a problem in most countries. That the weird stereotypes are a problem, but also being no, this one country doesn't have any stereotypes because it's cool, which is Japan, and this other country doesn't have any stereotypes about the country. Instead, we gave the girl pilot a Gundam that is a Sailor Scout uniform with high heels, which, on the one hand, is fucking cool, and on the other hand, is not cool. Also, she goes berserk, and she is one of the only countries. There are several. They're one of the only countries that treats their pilots poorly. That's not a unique problem for Allenby. What with one country having their pilot be someone in prison that they are forcing to do it. Another, they kidnap the one that quits. It's something where the government has their younger sibling held, and they're lying about its condition in order to force that person to be a pilot. There are other issues, and of course, as I said, the whole berserker system there, not great. So, you've got the Tequila Gundam and just a lot of stuff where you're like, eesh, yeesh. But also, Domon. Domon rules. Also, as we've well established, and you can see it on display, there's a horse that pilots a mech. So, some stuff about G Gundam kicks ass. It's a mixed bag. Also, it was the first out of Century show. It was the first one to try something. And what they tried to do was a fighting tournament. And that's cool. That's a cool out there choice. Love how the dub calls it Burning Finger. Well, because it's the Shining and the Burning Gundam. Because it would be really weird if they were don't call it the God Gundam, but you can call it the God Finger. That would have been odd. Devil Gundam is Dark Gundam, yada. Hey, and the Gundam Rose, if they were going to do a G Gundam kit in 2022/23, because it was, manufactured in 22, released in 23. If they were going to do a new kit from G Gundam, the Rose would have not been the top of my list, but I like it. I think the Dragon Gundam is an easy choice. And obviously, I would love a new mold for a Nobel Gundam high grade. A Nobel Gundam high grade in the 2020s, yes, that would be great. It would be fantastic. But we got the Gundam Rose, and it's going to be a good build, and we'll get into that. They did just announce a new Maxter. Excellent. I missed that, Lashrook. Thank you for letting me know. I still have the original Maxter high grade, the 1/100 high grade. I believe it's the 1/100. I can't remember. I have that on my wish list, and it's very expensive. And those will probably drop in price when there's a new Maxter, which will, of course, I assume, be a premium kit. I assume it'll be... Maybe they'll do it as a regular release, but I assume that it'll be a premium Bandai. I was talking about Gunpla in Discord earlier because of the new Maxter, and someone was like, I really like the Rose Gundam. And right as I read that, I saw you went live to build one. Hell yeah, Meadow. That's great. That's just great timing. I mean, like I said, it's a fun one. Let's go to the overhead here. As you can see, we have done... I'm going to... we'll zoom in a little bit more. Just a little bit more. As you can see, we have completed the chest here. We finished this up on... we almost all finished this up on Monday's stream. And then I panel lined a little bit of it as my warm-up for the day. Because sometimes I like to do a little warm-up. But yeah, the chest, many pieces to put together this chest. This is the kit. As again, the 2023 release. This is 2022 on the sprues. It is 0 poly caps. So you're doing plastic on plastic. So these parts right here are full plastic and not rubberized plastic. And I appreciate that. The new modern design of like, if we don't need polycaps, we're not going to do polycaps. And I think that's great. And now we're going to do the majority of the stickers, I believe, because of course there are color correcting stickers. Now people are of two minds of that when it comes to a premium Bandai kit. Well, you're paying more and it's a limited quantity. It shouldn't have any stickers at all. Shouldn't need it. This is a new kit from the ground up. Why would it have stickers? And I understand that. But at the same time, I don't know. Now, Gundam Maxter, perhaps that would sell well. Nobel Gundam, I think would sell very well. I don't know. If I was bringing back the G Gundam line and I put myself in the shoes of a Bandai person, I don't know if I would be convinced that this kit would 100% come out like, oh, this will sell gangbusters. We got, it's like, I can understand that. Dipping your toes in the premium. Now, the Death Scythe Hell being a premium kit, the new Death Scythe Hell, that one bummed me out because that would sell in any store. Yes, it's mostly just the Death Scythe and the Live Lance Heaven parts. And there's some stickers, but there's not a ton of stickers. That kit, I feel like, should have been mass produced and not that. In this case, I can understand it. Obviously, the God Gundam Real Grade sold very well, but also real grades just sell well. Like, real grades are always out there doing their thing. So it's not something that I would particularly shocked about. Crazy says, broke down and made the decision to pre-order the SMP Sentai Dairanger White Tiger Zord. Yeah. Look, I think if you are a model kit builder, at some point, it becomes a thing that you will worry about later. And the price is so high, but you're like, well, I want it though. But what about how I want it? Harold just cheered 50 bits. Thank you so much, Harold. Appreciate it. What happened here? There we go. Ching. Thank you very much, Harold. Appreciate that. You will see behind me, the heavy arms from Endless Waltz Master Grade. I spent a lot of money on that. Now, some of that was a gift card, but it still was a very expensive kit to purchase. And then the Heavy Arms Eagle unit, I took the parts off of that to make my ultimate heavy arms, the most heavy arms possible. And that's really just because, like, that was one of my white whales, one of my, like, must-haves, where I knew it was going to be very expensive, and it didn't matter. I don't have a lot of those anymore. I've been very lucky over the many years of doing this and having the support of wonderful people, and then also making poor decisions on my own, poor good decisions on my own. I've been lucky enough to be in a position where I have built most of my kits, and now the kits I really want for the future are fantasy kits. Like, oh, I love a new, actually, like, I love an RE100 Devil Gundam from G Gundam, speaking of G Gundam. Like, that's not going to happen. So it's like, it's not like, oh, that exists and I want it. It's like, no, that doesn't exist and I would like it to exist. I mean, if you look at my Amazon wish list, it's, there are a couple things on there. Most of the things from Amazon wish list are things that, like, everything on my wish list is something I would enjoy building on stream, because if I didn't enjoy building it, I wouldn't ask you, the collective you, to purchase it. I would simply not put it on the list. So everything on the list is something that I have, at the very least, a passing interest in putting together. And obviously I have to have new stuff constantly, because I have to keep building, because sometimes, you know, I don't want to run out of kits. But when we get to the expensive things are the, like, well, I get a $100 gift card every year for Amazon at Christmas. So if it doesn't get bought throughout the year, I'll do that. Or when I get a payout from Google AdSense, which the minimum for a Google payout for AdSense is $100. It's $100 before you can do it. It takes a while for me because I don't make a lot of money on ads on YouTube, right? So it's cumulative. It adds up. It takes a while. I bet $85 out of 100. When I get 100 and I get a payout, then I will buy expensive model kits. I could buy a bunch of less expensive kits, but instead I will use that to buy an expensive kit. So, like, if I ever get the Zaku Warrior live concert version, which is the gayest model kit ever produced, because it is a cool pink model kit covered in as if it was a fan of idol groups. Like, yeah, that's $85 right now. Could I find it somewhere else for cheaper? Actually, might be able to, but it's still going to be a very expensive kit because it's not there. Just weren't a lot of them that got made. The Tall Geese Fugal from Endless Waltz, which is basically the Tall Geese 3 with wings like it was the Wing Zero. Like, that kit is expensive. That's a kit that, like, I wouldn't just buy. But, you know, I would allocate funds. Instead of buying, like, 4 model kits, 4 high grades, or 3 to 4 high grades, really, depending on, you know, where we're at in the world. 3 to 4 high grades. Instead of that, I could buy 1 very expensive master grade. It's not cost effective. Speaking of cost effective, the next thing I'm building when this kit is done is something that is a Lego set that cost $50. And you're like, Pat, that must be a huge Lego set. No. It's a 280-something piece kit. It's not big at all. Why is it $50? Because people are willing to pay $50 for a Lego set with dinosaur poop in it. Because it is part of the Jurassic Park 30th anniversary. It is the Triceratops scene, the Triceratops research. Well, one, crazy, you're right. It's Lego. It's Lego. It's a premium Lego set in that it is a licensed set. So you're paying the license tax, or as some people call it, and I can see why they would call it that, the Star Wars tax. You're paying the license fee for all that work and all that because Lego doesn't get all of the money because they have to give some money to their licensors and they pass that cost on to you. But the most important, so it's Jurassic Park, right? So license. It's Lego in general. So, and Lego's gone up in price. So, yeah. But the reason why it's so expensive is a simple one. There's a big mound of Stegosaurus poop, and that's hilarious. So a bunch of people bought it who might not buy every Lego set, might not buy every set from Jurassic Park. But if you see it and you go, wait, is that? Yeah, that's dinosaur shit. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna buy that. So therefore the price went up. Now, did I spend $50 on that kit plus tax? No. Yes. Just put that poop on the shelf after you build a kit. Indeed, Lord Crashington, that goes in my save pile. Crazy, I'm in the process of trying to sell off most of my Lego sets, but the only one I'm keeping is Saturn V. Ooh. Now that's a big load of shit. Yes, indeed. Now, to explain, if you happen to go over to the cheer leaderboard, you will see that Bunny Fiend came in on Monday and dropped 5,000 cheer, 5,000 bits. That's because I was talking about how I wasn't going to put that Lego set on my Amazon wish list. How I had no plans to buy it because it was so expensive, but I didn't even want to put it on the wish list because it was so outrageous. And I did not expect it to drop in price. It would only get it more expensive. So I wasn't even going to put it on the list. And then Bunny Fiend dropped 5,000 bits. So I bought it because and then next month I will be reimbursed basically because it'll be the middle of September when I get the payout from this month basically. So basically it just became very apparent that I needed to get that. It made it possible. It's the most unique way to get a model kit or a Lego set into my hands. As many of you know, I have my wish list, or there's my throne wish list, my Amazon wish list, my throne wish list, which nobody uses, but I like having that alternative. I have to go back in there. It's been a little while. I have to go back in and make sure that's up to date and cool looking. All right, so sticker 1. We got to put sticker 1 on here. This is going to be most of the stickers. It's going to be here on the face. Yeah, so I did that, and then USA Gundam Store is the quote-unquote the most convoluted way because you have to make a gift card and then you have to send me a message with the gift card code, or you have to buy a gift card by making an account and buying a gift card there. But the secret way is to hear about me wanting a kit or a set and then donating the exact money for it. That's new. I think somebody once gave me money to Stream Elements and was like, hey, buy something off your wish list, which I was like, that's not, okay, that's not what I was talking about, but yes, sure. And I just bought something from USA Gundam Store that I wanted. And I was like, okay, that technically this is helpful, so thank you. So yeah, that's the next thing I'm gonna work on, which is funny to me. That is a funny thing that is on the agenda. All right, we're getting our cool. The head is coming together here. I'm gonna panel line the face here real quick, just because this is the easiest to get my pen in, and it might be annoying to do that later. But I definitely want these panel lines to be filled here on the face. And then I got to put oh, that's right. I got tiny stickers coming up here. This is going to be annoying as shit. Because the sides have a little peg that goes in, and there's a sticker on the peg. I am going to do this as I go here, because it'll just be way easier to panel line this as we go. So we'll just do that. Stuff to talk about here. Hey, we got an update on Twitter.com. This is not a big update in the ongoing nonsense that is Twitter. Things kind of slowed down as it just kind of slowly dies. But here's something. Now, this is supposedly, if you wanted to give someone a Blue Sky invite, don't do it via Twitter DM. Or if you are going to send it out via Twitter DM, you should take a screenshot of it and send it as a screenshot and not cut, copy, and paste it. Because if you just send a Blue Sky code, supposedly it trips. Lastbrook just subscribed with Prime, 69 months. I got to interrupt my own thoughts. Let's throw the Bear Cave, the Lego, the Scythe emote into chat. Very nice. Saying nice. That is nice. That's very nice, Lastbrook. Thank you for your unbelievable continued support. That's wild. Hello, Dirty. Welcome. Indeed. We hit 69, which is great, and I'm glad that you were able to renew. And thank you very much for your continued support. It means the world. So yeah, your account might get temporarily blocked if you're sending just a Blue Sky code. It might trip their sensors for suspicious activity. And then to get your account back to snuff on, all you have to do is prove you're a human via CAPTCHA. So you get punished with a CAPTCHA. Now, this is not fully confirmed that this happens every time. It seems to happen to people who have sent it out just with the Blue Sky code and not with other text, or like I said, using an image. When I have sent out Blue Sky invites, it has been to people on various Discords that I've been in. So I just send it via Discord because I am in various groups of different kinds of streamers, including model kit building streamers. And so I am trying to get it to them. Or comedians, trying to get that out there. But now we're at the point where some of the people I gave invites to now have invites to give to people. So it's at the point now where I don't have to get out there as much. All right, so I've got very tiny pieces of plastic here that have to go into the sides of this head, and then tiny stickers have to go on top of that. So I am going to put the parts in first and then put the sticker on, because I think that's going to be way easier than I could apply the sticker, I guess, directly to the piece on the sprue, but I think I want to try to get these in easier, and then I'm going to try to use my jeweler's tweezers, but these might be too small for even my tweezers. Okay. Yeah, this might be. And as I see that they go in, I think it's got to go in like this. Like that. I think it goes in like that. Okay. Because even if I can just get it started. Nope, that didn't work. Okay. These are incredibly tiny, and my fingers are not, so. Okay. At the very least, these are they're the same on either side, so I just have to try to get one in. And is that right? All right, so okay, I got to put this. This one is not in. I got to turn it around. Okay, I got these tiny in. Now, what I should have probably done was add a drop of liquid cement so they never come out, but that's okay. Hopefully they won't ever come out. They fit pretty tight in there. So now I need to see if I can apply incredibly tiny stickers. These are very tiny because the very ends of these need to be apparently this color. Now, if I fuck this up, I'm not going to worry too much about it because it'll be okay. These are incredibly tiny. I understand why this is not layers of plastic. It makes sense why this would be a very minuscule sticker. I don't think even in my own photography this would show up. But it was included. And I'm going to try to get that there. So what I'm going to do now is zoom in real close. So here is no sticker. Here is sticker. You can see there is a difference. There is a sticker on this one. There's not a sticker on the other side. So sticker, no sticker. Very tiny. Whoops. I would describe this as annoyingly tiny. Let me widen out just a little hair more. There we go. Okay. All right. So now I got to put this other sticker on the other side. So that's my Twitter update. Nothing really to say there. I would say probably don't use Twitter DMs at this point for anything important. Try to be able to reach people other places, perhaps even Discord. Here's some short things I gotta say. I watched the trailer for the teaser trailer for the upcoming Scott Pilgrim anime produced for Netflix. And it looks good. The vibes are good. I mean, the music, you knew the music was going to be good. The vibes seem solid. We don't know voices. We don't quite know what's going on. Is it a direct adaptation of the manga? Is it going to be going through the whole story? Is it a series that takes place after? Is it a series that takes place before? It'll sound good in that you've got the voice cast, the actors from the movies returning, or the movie, I should say, returning. And here's the thing. Science Saru is making it. Science Saru made one of my favorite anime of all time, and one of my favorite anime specifically of the past few years, Keep Your Hands Off Isaacin. Science Saru is a great choice for a studio to do this, because their visual chops are fantastic. Like, look, would Mappa have done a great job? Of fucking course Mappa would have done a great job. A1 Pictures probably also would have done a good job. The A group for Bones, not the B group for Bones, but the A group for Bones, sure. They would have done a great job too. I am glad that it is not a pure CGI studio. I'm glad we're not getting that. I am glad we're getting a digital studio that will incorporate CGI elements, I am sure, as cost-cutting measures, because it is a series that is being produced for Netflix that has a voice cast that is probably more expensive. This could possibly be the most expensive anime that Netflix has produced. In consideration of voice talent. I'm sure that I don't want to say I'm sure. I have a feeling that Brian Lee O'Malley, this is probably a labor of love for him more than a cash cow. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. As far as the debate, I answered this in a video a while ago where I looked at various animation projects to decide if it was anime or not. The pedantic answer is that every piece of animation is anime, because anime is just the Japanese word for animation. So that's anime, and also Steven Universe is anime, and G.I. Joe is anime. It's anime. Now, if you want to go with the Western idea that anime means a specific thing, Pat, just like Joshi doesn't mean a woman who wrestles. It's a particular style of the Japanese wrestling style, Pat, which I have been told by people who clearly seem to know so much more about it than me, apparently. But in that same regard, there are many people that think that the definition of anime is that it is done by a Japanese studio based on adapted a Japanese work, and the primary language is Japanese. Nobody ever imitates anime outside of Japan. Yes. So, obviously, being sourced from Japan, that also isn't a qualification for being an anime. Because Radiant is based on a French comic book series. Source was not that. Now, it was produced in Japan, Japanese language primarily. But that's considered an anime. That's an anime even if it's French. It's an anime. There are various works that you could look at. I had a chart. I went through it. I looked at a bunch of things. I made an Excel spreadsheet to figure this stuff out. So I don't remember. Do I even have that still? Did I make it in Sheets or did I make it? I might have made it. If I made it in Google Sheets, I still have it. I don't think I. Oh yeah, all right. Yes. So my definitions of is it anime? I talked to this is a video from April, so I'm not gonna be like, oh, you gotta watch the video. I looked at 5 pieces of animation and said, is it anime or is it not anime? Scott Pilgrim, that's anime. Last Airbender, not anime. Anime inspired, certainly. That's not anime. High Guardian Spice, which was a cartoon made for Crunchyroll, but by Western folks, lots of Canadian folks. That is an anime. Radiant, again, French manga, done in Japan. That's an anime. Perfect Hair Forever. This is the one that I got some feedback about, that one. Now, I could have said the one that was done by Jaden Smith, Neo whatever. That's also anime. But Perfect Hair Forever, which is a 6-episode series made for Adult Swim that was a send-up and loving tribute of anime, is also an anime. That is my opinion on those things. Let me see. Is it anime 1? Did I? Yeah, no. I just changed the colors for that. Okay. But yeah, the thing was, is it done by a Japanese studio? Is Japanese the primary language? Is the source material Japanese? Is it animated? Those were the questions that I asked about all those examples. Because those 5, Scott Pilgrim, Last Airbender, High Guardian Spice, Radiant, and Perfect Hair Forever, none of those are sourced from Japan. Don't people in Japan not separate anime and other styles of animation like people in the West do? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Lord Crashington, anime is just the Japanese word for animation. I'm talking about anime style, but in Japan, it's just animation. So it's Disney. Disney is anime. Things you see on cartoon. Family Guy is anime. And that's why I'm saying that there's a lowercase a and then there's a capital A. And the capital A is mostly a Western thing. And that's just kind of where we're at with it. But there are a couple Chinese cartoons that are there's a couple that are available on streaming services, and some people are like, there needs to be a mention in that you need to be, you got to be telling people this is an anime. This is from China, and it's like, well, some of the anime you watch is also partially or fully from China, but also it doesn't fucking matter. It's okay. So while some people will say, because to me it's like really, when we talk about the 80s cartoons, so much stuff being done in Mexico, it's funny that we don't consider any of that to be To just like, no, that's American cartoons. Like, okay, sure. Yeah, it's mostly just like bullshit and nonsense, and it's another way of people being like, "Oh, I need to make this say be special because I don't like cartoons. I like anime." And it's like, "Okay. All right. Look, let's just not use as long as we're not using Japanimation, I'm fine with whatever. You can say Japanese cartoons if you really need to say something, I guess. But yeah, let's try not to say Japanimation because that's a even though Japan loves a fucking portmanteau. Oh boy, do they love a portmanteau. I have never spoken about this with friends of mine who are Japanese about this particular thing, but I wonder if they like the term Japanimation because it is a portmanteau, and they do really fucking love those. I don't know. I don't know. All right, we finished the head. We're gonna put the head on. Hell yeah. Our Napoleonic Gundam is looking good. All right, so I want to talk to the Scott Pilgrim thing. I talked to the Blue Sky thing. Hey, have a good night, Harold. Thanks for hanging out. Thank you for the bits. So Japanime is bad now, like JRPG. So Dirty. Um, Japanimation isn't like a bad word. It's just a weird. It's so Japanime, much like JRPG, is a descriptor made by marketing folks trying to sell us things. It's not a term from the communities, from any community, right? Like JRPG doesn't come out of uh, JRPG and CRPG. In one instance, you could say, oh, that comes from people trying to delineate between the different kinds of role playing games. But all video game role playing games are computers. Consoles are computers. So that doesn't make any sense. There have been Japanese publishers and Japanese developers. Yeah, Japanime just doesn't. Yeah, Japanimation didn't was fine for a moment when people didn't know the word anime. People now know the word anime, so we don't need it anymore. Um, but no, what I was saying there was, part of it is, oh, we want to delineate between computer generated RPGs for computers, which is a Western style, and the Japanese style of role playing games. Even if some of those CRPGs started in Japan or other countries, and also there are plenty of countries where they do that, like where they're making their own Japanese style of role playing game. But mostly right now, JRPG is an archaic term, and CRPG is an archaic term because also most RPGs are also loot shooters. So it's just like, all the labels are weird. I think it's like the style like is fine to say, and then you have people that are like, I'm trying to make a Japanese style rhythm game, or I'm trying to make this, or I'm trying to make that, and it's like, well, if you are trying to do a send up of the style, that's cool. If you are trying to do your version of a culture, that's different and sometimes problematic and weird. But like, yeah, I understand. Like, it's like, yeah, we're a small team, and we're trying to make a game that feels like Persona, and it's like, fuck yeah. I guess you could call that a JRPG, even though this is not a Japanese studio. But if you're trying to ape Persona and Persona is a JRPG, then you're making a JRPG. But then what if you just didn't fucking call Persona a JRPG and just called it an RPG? If you just called it an RPG with fucking style, you can just do that. Because words mean things, but also, who fucking cares about words? Lord Crashton says, now, Janime is a good term for Jan Ochoa's anime podcast. Yes. If Jan wanted to have a Jan-led podcast of talking about anime, Janime is what he would call it. You're not wrong. You are wrong, but you're not wrong. You know what I mean. Because as I said, words mean something. Hey, this sticker didn't come off, and I just realized that now. Wow. Wow. Hey, I got a story I want to tell you here. There's an article here. The rare Pat Baer, checking out, this is rare here, rare Pat Baer. Here's an article from Ars Technica, a website I don't go on that often, but this article spoke to me. Buyers of Bored Ape NFTs sue after digital apes turn out to be bad investment. This is in part, one of the defendants in this lawsuit is Sotheby's. Sotheby's Auction House has been named as a defendant in a lawsuit filed by investors who regret buying Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs that sold for highly inflated prices during the NFT craze of 2021. They claimed that the auction house duped investors by giving the Bored Ape NFTs an air of legitimacy to generate investors' interest and hype around the Bored Ape brand. So they're basically just like, I don't know if he's just throwing stuff at a wall, but Jan's been talking about doing an Animorphs podcast called Janimorph Book Club. I mean, that's a very good name, Lord Grashington. It's a good name. Janimorph is a good name. I am a fan of the concept of Animorphs, but that is where I end. I've never read an Animorphs book. I have no opinion on Animorphs outside of, I don't know, those book covers are neat. So this lawsuit says that the boost to Bored Apes NFT prices provided by the auction was rooted in deception. It wasn't revealed at the time of the auction that the buyer... Okay, so, and you're like, Pat, didn't they just put it up for auction? What are you talking about? Well, the buyer of that Bored Ape they did not disclose, which they don't have to, but it is interesting that the person that paid for it, was like, oh, we're going to have this auction, and oh, who bought it? Was the now disgraced FTX. FTX bought a Bored Ape at auction. Well, Gresham says, that was my jam in school, as I get from these Scholastic book fairs. I got Garfield collections at the Scholastic Book Fair. You know what? They probably shouldn't have had collections of Garfield comics, the newspaper strips, as something you could just get at the book fair. But they did, and I did. Because it was my money, and I could get whatever book I wanted. And I wanted Garfield collections. And so I got Garfield collections. But I did not get Animorph books. That was just not a thing I did. So part of this lawsuit also says Sotheby's representations that the undisclosed buyer was a traditional collector had misleadingly created the impression that the market for the NFTs had crossed over to a mainstream audience. They say that harmful investors bought the NFTs, harmed investors with a reasonable expectation of profit from owning them. So, do I believe that this did legitimize NFTs? No. Do I believe that this did give dumbasses enough motivation to otherwise buy NFTs when they maybe would have thought, well, hey, they sold on this well-known auction house. That's a justification. That's all the justification I needed. Yes, I do think that. Do I think that there would have been something else that would have justified them? Like, say, Jimmy Fallon talking about them and having guests talk about them, who, of course, were gifted those NFTs and did not disclose they were gifted them, made it seem like they had purchased them themselves in some cases. Yes, I do think that would have been the justification. So I don't think that that per se this has any standing, but I do think that it was shitty. So these investors also did sue Yuga Labs, the creator of Bored Ape, at one point, of the executives, and also the celebrity promoters, which include Paris Hilton, Gwyneth Paltrow, Kevin Hart, Snoop Dogg, Serena Williams, Madonna, Jimmy Fallon, Stephen Curry, and Justin Bieber. So this is a amended complaint. So the original complaint still stands, and then months later they were like, "We're going to add this to our list. We also think that we should be going after Sotheby's for this." Let's see. And they're talking about collusion, friends. They said the word collusion. So you know it's serious when you start bringing in the word collusion. Yuga Labs colluded with fine arts broker to run a deceptive auction. Part mostly on the fact that they described him as the person that won the winning bid, as a traditional collector, which was words they assumed meant to legitimize the practice, as I've said, and did not say, yeah, it's a company that's really in NFTs bought them. Yuga Labs and other defendants have a September 12th deadline to file motions to dismiss the complaint. And then Sotheby's did have a quote for CNN saying that the allegations are baseless and they're prepared to vigorously defend themselves. I think if they can make a case for collusion, then that is something much more than a company making dumbasses think their dumbass shit was worth money. I don't know if they're going to be held accountable for that, but I could see them being held accountable in some small regard for their role in, misleading people. Like, that's certainly possible. But I don't necessarily think this has any weight. But I do like when people are sued, when desperate people are sued by desperate people. That's something, at least. And again, I don't think this is going to lead to anything. This is going to be a big old nonsense. I don't think this is going to go anywhere. I don't think we're going to see Jimmy Fallon take the stand to defend himself. I don't see that as a possibility. But you know what? What do I know? Maybe it will happen. Maybe he'll have to get on the stand and be like, I don't have to disclose things. I'm a talk show host. I don't have to say stuff like that. I didn't know I needed to say that. Weird. Sorry. And then laugh. All right, let's see. Other things we can talk about tonight. I mean, I guess we should talk about Fight for the Fallen. All right, because it's games related, we should talk about this. A match that happened last night on good old AEW Dynamite, All Elite Wrestling. All Elite Wrestling had a bunch of matches. Most of the matches and programs on the night were to promote their upcoming, incredibly well-sold tickets, but up until recently, no real matches announced. Pay-per-view they're doing All In. So many people, rightfully so, expected a lot of matches being set up, a lot of angles being hastily written or developed. Some things that had been building for a while, fleshed out a little bit more, shenanigans, and that happened. But also, Also, two older wrestlers fought in a match that was sponsored by a video game. And I should be clear, for me personally, a video game that I did not know existed. But yes, one of the major matches was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre death match for the death match belt. Jeff Jarrett took on Jeff Hardy. The only rules were it had to end in pinfall, but it could take place anywhere. And multiple people get involved, and they did. And it was, coincidentally, this was not planned. They decided to make Last Night's Show and Rampage and Collision this weekend. The AEW decided to make these shows benefit shows where ticket sales and merch sales, basically profits for the event, were going to be donated to relief efforts in Maui, which is beautiful. And that's lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely that happened, right? So, because this was a sponsored match, AEW donated the money they received for that match, which meant that because they are a large corporation like that making a large charitable donation, they disclosed how much money they made from the developers of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game, based on a true story, which is in the copy, and is funny. And that amount of money was $100,000. As far as I can tell, the fine people at the Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game spent their entire marketing budget on two things: a kind of funny stream, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre presents a death match featuring Jeff Jarrett and Jeff Hardy. Jeff Jarrett is now a deathmatch champion. He has a belt. AEW has another fucking belt. Somehow they now have two more belts than WWE. Although it looks like they might be retiring one of them. So maybe the FTW belt will get retired, and then they'll only have one more than WWE. I like just how questionable that the mask was. Yes, the mask. Hey, well, here's the thing, right? For this video game, apparently there are two new family members. They introduce a lady family member and another gentleman. So maybe it wasn't actually Leatherface, even though they call it Leatherface. It was the new character, and that mask just looks like Leatherface. Who knows? That should be ideal for you, Pat. Jeff Jarrett has a belt, so he has no reason to fight for the big belts anymore. Lord Crashington, yes, as always, I somewhat don't. In this case, Jeff Jarrett, I have to respect the fact that Jeff Jarrett, as part of his job, got this match created and got this partnership deal. And he somehow booked himself in it. And that's incredibly funny. And that is the kind of carny bullshit I get behind. Now, Jeff Jarrett going up for the tag belts, going up for the international belt, I don't need to see that shit. But doing a dumbass match with Jeff Hardy, sure. For like a sponsored thing that he himself took part in and helped realize, you know what? Great. That's terrible. Enjoy it. And then, of course, yes, he was also on the dump truck over on Giant Bomb today and learned a bunch of nonsense. And I didn't watch it because I don't watch the dump truck, but I am sure that it was fun and weird. And WrestleQuest will come out at some point, and All In is happening, and Jeff Jarrett is everywhere, and it's weird. But anyway, that happened last night, and that's nonsense. That's just like a nonsense thing that fucking happens, and I don't know. I don't have much else to say about it other than, like, what the fuck? What are we even doing here? We got to make a hand. I'm going to do 18 so we can hold a saber. Because I want it to be able to hold a saber, because this is a knight, and a knight should have a sword and shield. That's makes sense. All right, so we need B15 to go with that. We're going to take a pause for the calls in a moment or two. I'll talk about ways you can support the channel. Actually, also Eddie Kingston came back. Eddie Kingston, who has been in Japan for the G1, his time in Japan is over. He came back. He is going to be partnering in a 6-man, 6-on-6, a 12-person match. Get a lot of people on the card. I don't disagree with that idea, but yeah, get a lot of people on the card. So it's going to be Eddie Kingston, the Lucha Bros, the Best Friends, and Orange Cassidy against the 3 non-injured members of the Blackpool Combat Club and 3 other people of their choosing. Takeshita has worked with them. Takeshita's in a different match, so they don't have that. I don't know who it's going to be. My hope would be that it would be Zack Sabre Jr. and 2 other people in his New Japan faction. That would be interesting because Zack Sabre Jr. has some history with those guys. Another possibility could be Proud and Powerful, who are reportedly on their way back, and whereas Eddie, before he left, had kind of disassociated himself with everybody, including Ortiz. So maybe Ortiz is pissed off, comes back with Blackpool Combat Club. I don't know. If you include the Leatherface belt, you got to include the Owen Hart tourney belts. Lashbrook, the Owen Hart belts are not defended, so they don't count. They are rewarded. Those are trophies. I don't count those belts as defendable belts. Theoretically, Jeff Jarrett could put the deathmatch belt on the line, so I don't count it as a belt until he does. So right now, it is a nebulous thing like the Owen Hart belts. But if people were defending the Owen Hart Cup, then that'd be a different story. Like the Heritage Cup in NXT is a belt, even though it's a cup because it's defended. So it's technically a title. It counts. Which I know is silly, but it's true. All right, we got an arm done here. We got that panel lines. Obviously, there are going to be some shoulders that go. We can do an arm. Let's take a pause for the calls. We'll talk about ways you can support the channel, and then we'll talk about some manga and some anime because I don't have a lot of anime to talk about tonight. So we're gonna quote unquote gonna have to. We'll also talk about some manga later because things got weird in the world of anime. One is not my fault. One is my decision. But anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. Hey, first and foremost, if you're currently a subscriber, you can throw the Bear Cave, the Lego, the site, the Tier 2 blue emote in the chat right now. Please do. Please let the people know that being a subscriber is the easiest way to support what I do here. I'm going to talk about ways you can support the channel. All of the things I'm talking about here are optional. You don't have to do any of those things. If you would like to, that would be great. Hi, I'm John. Happy to have you, as always. Being a subscriber, again, the simplest way to support what I do here through Cash Money or your Prime Gaming token. You could be like Lashbrook, who used the Prime Gaming token. You have Amazon Prime, legally or Twitch, you get that token. You can use it on anyone. Use it on me. Get your Twitch Prime going and help out your friend Pat. That would be lovely. I actually, really quick, let's see. The people I use, I want to see when I need to resub to the people that I do. How many days do I have for that? I have many days left, it looks like. It looks like I have many days before I need to do that. 11 days from now. 11 days from now. The people that I give my Prime Gaming token to, loading, ready, run, I'll give that to. So yeah, if you do that, hey, there's a gift sub leaderboard. The top spot is 100 gift subs from the Bunny Fiend. The second spot is Bobby Dice Roller with 5 gift subs. That's great. If you want to be, apparently me gifting a sub, because I did gift a sub this month. I gifted Bunny Fiend a sub. That doesn't count on the leaderboard. So if you want to be on the leaderboard, you could gift a sub if you wanted to. That would just be nice for me. I don't know. You don't have to. Also, bits and coins always appreciated. If you want to join the bit sub leaderboard with Bunny Fiend and Harold, you could do that. That's another way to support what I do here. There are options that don't involve Twitch, which is for some people great because they don't want to do it, even though it is, again, the easiest way. If you want to get the most bang for your, if you want me to get the most bang for your buck, join my Patreon at patreon.com/PatBear. There's a $1, $3, $5, and $10 tier. There are different rewards for the different tiers. That's the place where I get the most of the money that you give me. That's the biggest cut is there. So you could do that if you wanted to. Different rewards, different tiers. Take a look at it. My YouTube channel, obviously subscribing to YouTube is free, and I would encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube because that would be nice for me, your friend Pat. Just go over to my YouTube, do that. While you're there, if you wanted to, hop on my YouTube, you could become a member. That money goes towards, that money, I get a portion of it. It's slowly over time, we'll get to $100. I'll be able to take out money from AdSense and then buy model kits. There's also direct donations. If you just want to one-time help me out, you could do that through Coffee or Stream Elements or PayPal. You could do that if you wanted to. Everything I make through direct donations, through YouTube, through Patreon, through Twitch, all goes into a fund where I buy model kits and equipment with that. I've been very good on equipment, knock on wall here, or knock on wood. I got wood here, on my chair. And I just knocked my chair there. It made it sound like something else, and that's not what I was trying to say. But yeah, that's how I buy model kits. This kit, the Rose Gundam, or Gundam Rose, I should say. The Gundam Rose, I purchased because of your generosity. I was able to go, you know what? I have the funds to pre-order this kit. I would love to build this kit on stream, and I was able to do it. I'm very grateful for that. Now, I did mention that I have an Amazon wish list, and the next kit I'll be working on, or the next set I'll be working on, I should say, came because Bunny Fiend wanted me to buy something from Amazon. So that is the next thing that I'll be building, is that Lego set. If you want to decide what I build after that, you can. You can buy something from my wish list. It'll come to me. I'll make a dedicated YouTube video about it, and it'll jump the queue. I've got inexpensive Lego sets. I've got expensive Lego sets. I got inexpensive kits, expensive kits. Kits that drop in price and are like actually a pretty good deal. Like right now, the Gundam Elfrith Thorn, because I've built two Elfrith, or an Elfrith before. I have another Elfrith coming in September from my wish, or from Premium Bandai. But the Thorn, I could build the Thorn. It's $20 right now. That's a good fucking deal. But yeah, I've got Lego sets, I've got model kits, I got inexpensive kits, I got expensive kits, kits that never go on sale, kits that always are on sale, free shipping, not free shipping, all kinds of different things. If you see something there that you'd like to see me, definitely like to see me build, you could buy it, and then I will build it on stream. And there's some gear at the bottom because it's nice to have gear options. I have a Throne wish list. It's like my Amazon wish list, only it's much more curated because they don't have as much stuff. And there's also surprise gifts available if you wanted to buy something and surprise me. There's some categories you could buy things in that fit in that. Also, you go to USA Gundam Store, buy a gift card there. Send me a DM on Twitter, or you could send a whisper here on Twitch with that if you wanted to. That's another way to support what I do over here, your friend Pat. And then, if you want to support me for free and not spend a dime, not a dime, well, you can go to my Discord and hang out there. Lovely people in the Discord. You're more than welcome to come hang out on the old Discord. A couple of video links to satisfy your cravings for content. Pat Bear's Anime Club. I put up a new episode on Monday, and this episode is recommendations of anime you might have missed from the first half of 2023. We are in the second half of 2023 with our anime. We are a little more than halfway through this season, but maybe you want to watch some stuff that came out in the beginning of the year, in the winter and spring, and you just didn't get around to it. Well, I recommended 4 shows that I think you should check out. And I also got some recommendations from people, some of which I'd already seen. One show I got recommended I haven't seen before, which I mentioned at the end of the episode there, and I will be reviewing that show. I'm watching several episodes. I've already watched one. I'm going to watch some more. And that's a show that I missed that multiple people suggested I should check out. So that'll be the next episode. It's rare that I tie in episodes of Pat Bear's Anime Club to each other, but I did. Baerly Rehearsed is an ongoing video series where every week I do my damnedest to write and perform a character piece that I have memorized or at least am familiar with. I've rehearsed it. This one's a wrestling promo. I can't believe it took me until... Wait, what number is this one? 33. This is the 33rd Baerly Rehearsed, and it took me through 33 episodes to do a wrestling promo. But the idea came to me. I had fun with it. It's the longest one I've done. I've been doing a lot of short jokes, like the little quick bits. So it was fun to do one that's a little bit longer. Please watch it. I thought it was very funny. There are some references to real things that have happened in wrestling. I'll say one is I danced badly on purpose, just to make you mad. That is a real thing that multiple wrestlers have done, is dancing bad on purpose. It's a good, easy joke to rile up the crowd. But a few of them are obscure, and a bunch of them are just made up, because I like making those things up. That's one of my favorites that I have done, and so I recommend checking it out, because I think it's good. All right. We're going to talk about... so we'll do some anime first, and then we'll do some manga. And I need to drink some water and take a pill, so I'll do that. Let's see. Let's get this loaded up. We'll talk about anime, then we'll talk about manga. Bonus manga conversation, because I only have one episode of anime to really dive into. So I wanted to give you something else that we can chat about, which will be a manhwa. Actually, it's not even manga. It's actually manhwa, but whatever. But we'll dramatically transition back to the overhead right now. Sometimes my my headphone cable gets caught on my mic arm, and that happened there, and that was awkward for me. Anyway, let's start by talking about some anime. Okay, first off, The Great Cleric, no new episode. Possibly no new episode next week. The Great Cleric has been delayed because of the 2023 World Athletics in Japan. Basically, it got bumped out of its time slot. And the episodes exist, they just didn't air. Now, we don't know, because there is a streaming service in Japan that airs The Great Cleric a week early. So theoretically, they may air, or they will air in a streaming service. Now, generally, if it doesn't air in Japanese television, it doesn't air in other places. So it theoretically, there might not be another episode next week either. Yeah, Dirty says, I think I saw online it won't air until 8:31. So there is a chance that because the company that shows episodes a week early will air it, that maybe Crunchyroll will have it next week. I won't know until next Wednesday, basically. That's a bummer. This happens on occasion. It did get announced on Tuesday, like, hey, actually, we've been bumped out of our time slot. It sounds like it might not have been something they were totally aware of. The real shame is, if you watched last week's episode was fucking rough. Episode 6, for that show, like, there were a couple flashbacks, like moments that happened, and they looked so much better than what was happening in the actual episode that it felt very rushed. And I was like, ooh, this is a studio that definitely could have used some time off. So hopefully they're going to polish it. Also, we're getting into the second arc of the series. So it's kind of like maybe actually the best place to pause. But it is a bummer. I was disappointed to hear that we weren't getting an episode of that. So no episode of The Great Cleric, possibly no episode next week, most likely no episode next week. Definitely a bummer. Now, okay, Pat, so you watched three shows to talk about on Thursdays. Well, what about Reborn as a Vending Machine? I Now Wander the Dungeon. Do you have your talk about that? And the answer to that question is no. Because I stopped watching the episode about 5 minutes in. Now, I am going to talk about it on Saturday. I have decided that I am going to go back when I am in a better mood, because today I was not in a good mood. I watched it today. I was going to watch that and Great Cleric back to back and Helck. I was going to watch all of it. That was the plan. And I didn't. I was going to watch Great Cleric yesterday, and I was going to watch Reborn and Helck today. That's what it was. So I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to keep watching this because I'm very mad. These goddamn devil kids are dumb as shit. I think the episode is supposed to be trying to tell me something. Like, it's supposed to be telling me, like, hey, KNC DMT, this is the Gundam Rose from G Gundam. That is the kit we are currently working on. It is the Neo France Gundam from G Gundam. This was a premium Bandai kit that I picked up this year. Or this, I think, came in July. It came in the mail for me. So yeah, we're working on that. I need 18. So yeah, I didn't get a full detailed look at this episode. I promise that I will talk about it on Saturday because I don't remember how much it is. It's not something that you can buy anymore because it was a pre-order, and I do not believe that it is available again. So I do not remember how much I paid for it, but I also know that it's not something that you can pick up right now because it is a premium Bandai kit. So yeah, I will watch Reborn as a Vending Machine. I now wonder the dungeon. And I will get back to you on that. But right now, I was annoyed with this episode. Because, yeah, these cubs are... I'm sure they're trying to tell me something that, like, oh, these cubs are acting like... Because they can't understand Boxo must be stupid. And just, like, not have any sentience. And, like, maybe this is, like... them trying to tell an immigrant story. And I'm like, that's interesting. But also, this is an anime about a guy who reincarnated as a vending machine. And I'm not enjoying this episode. So I'll come back to it. I promise. I fucking promise I'll come back to it. So we can't talk about that episode. But what we can talk about is Helck. We can talk about episode 6 of Helck. I believe last week I said that episode 5 kind of didn't really have the humor that this series had really been hitting its stride with, which was kind of a detriment. The jokes are back here. They're not as big. This is a comedy series because the premise is ridiculous, but it doesn't hit as hard as it has in the past, I would say. That's my just general feeling, is that it's not hitting as hard. So we've got Vermilio, who is one of the 4 heavenly kings, which is classically the 4 strongest demons under the Demon Lord. Demon Lord was defeated by Helck's brother, who the human society has deemed that Helck killed. We don't know if that's true or not, but that's why Helck wants the short answer. That's why Helck wants to become the next demon king, because he wants to slaughter humanity who have turned against him. So he's turned against them. Helck and Vermilio are separated. They get invited by this person, a cloaked figure, to the village that they found. The village welcomes them. They have a party. And they're like, hey, thanks for bringing so much excitement to here. We can't, we know you want to get home. We don't have the capacity to help you. But there's a lady at the top of the mountain that could help you. That she should be able to give you a hand. But we have to invite her down here because she's got a big barrier you can't break, yada, yada, yada. So they're like, okay, well, I guess hopefully she'll come in and she can help us get off this island so that we can return to where we need to be. Did I do this right? I think this is right. Is this right? This seems maybe wrong. No? Okay, yeah. I am doing this incorrectly. Even though I just did it on the other arm, you'd think that I would be able to instantly recognize that I was doing it incorrectly, but you'd be wrong. Just gotta wedge this out here. I'm going to try to separate this piece without breaking it. There we go. Hooray. Let's see. So there's a witch. And then, hey, then we get Vermilio and Helck. Hey, we get some backstory. We fucking get some backstory. It's like, Helck's, hey, Helck, why did you save me when this whole thing went down? He's like, well, we're going to be allies. We are allies. And the demons, he's like, hey, every demon I've met so far has accepted me, even though I'm a human, which is great. And he's like, I've been alone because everyone I've ever befriended has become an enemy, which is, his current state of affairs. And then we get some philosophy. Humans that have awakened, in Helck's opinion, they're not really humans anymore. They're weapons who continue to slaughter people under the king's orders. So maybe he killed his brother because after his brother killed the demon lord, he was just going to continue to be a tool of the country. We don't quite know yet, but we're getting more motivations for Helck, which is interesting. And he's like, Helck's mission, the reason why he wants to be a demon lord, is to end all of this, to end the program that makes these artificial advanced humans. And so he's going to protect the other races from this. And then we cut to the other demons that we met before, because remember, this is all supposed to be a contest to declare the next demon lord. And they're having some trouble. And they're interrogated by approached by some winged knights, and they're just like, we just want intel. What's going on? And we're going to conquer the demons. We're going to bring peace to the lands. And they meet up with some other demons that we met previously. And there is a demon that we don't know who this demon is, but they are in a disguise, and they are basically trying to tell these winged knights, like, hey, there was a conflict that led to a war, but before that, demons and humans were at peace with each other, and we got along pretty well up until we didn't. But they're like, no, we're not down with that. Well, then our masked demon reveals himself to be another member of the final member that we had not seen before of the Heavenly Kings, Azurdra, who uses nature magic to capture all of the winged knights, which is cool. So then we'll get more battles there. Like I said, I like the backstory that we got in this episode. There were some jokes in the first half, like the mysterious person in a robe that Vermilio thinks is going to do them harm, but then whoosh, reveal, actually, that's the village chief, and they're just having a party. Like, yeah, that was pretty funny. It didn't hit as hard as some episodes have hit, but overall, I thought it was a pretty good episode of the show. I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to Vermilio and Helck getting off that island and getting to do more shit, because the best part of this series was the wacky scavenger hunts and fighting and all this stuff, where we got to see Helck be overpowered. And I know you can't just have that be the series, but that clearly was the best thing that was going on in the series. So to completely sidetrack from that, I understand why they're doing it, but that doesn't mean I have to like it. And in fact, I don't like it. I don't like they're doing that. All right, so we're going to use 17 and 16, because my guess is that the shield will have to be held, so we're going to need these hands anyway. I might be wrong, but I'm making a guess. So that was my anime discussion. I gave up one episode, but I will come back to it because it was just such an infuriating thing. Watched one, and then Great Cleric. Looks like we got a little hiatus going here. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. But we are done with the arms. Obviously, not done with the shoulders, but the next thing we're doing is the legs, which we can do. The legs, most of the legs are symmetrical, so we can do most of the legs together, and then like the calves we'll do separately, and then the waist, and then we've got to build the pauldrons and the cape need to get built. And then the base. I'm sorry. We also have to build the core lander because, of course, this is G Gundam, so there's a core lander. And then we got to build the beam sword. And then we can display some of the cool shit. Parts of the cape can come off, and we can put those on the stand. I'm going to do all that. So I don't think we're going to finish this kit on Saturday, but we are building at a pretty good clip, and that's nice. So now I want to chat with you about some manga. Because I've also, of course, been reading a manhwa, specifically a South Korean comic named The Extra is Too Strong. So, bare bones. This is an isekai. This is a person dies and is suddenly inhabiting the body of a novel character. So this is a fantasy world setting that is a book that this guy has been reading. So a book that he read, he suddenly is in the world. And in the style of the world is tough, the world of Otome games is tough for mobs. He did not enjoy the ending of this book, which I think is very interesting. It's not that he hated the whole experience. He just finished reading it. He was mad at the ending. He was mad at the main character. And then he got reincarnated and he got isekai into the novel as the extra, a throwaway character, a character referenced who had been around, who was not important to the story except for the fact that he worked for the antagonist and eventually became like a minor villain, but wasn't necessarily the biggest part of the story, which is interesting. And we'll get into the actual story within the story in a moment. But first, I want to talk about how he got isekai. And so sometimes in isekai, we know a lot about the character's previous life, right? Sometimes it's just like, they don't even know. I have vague memories, or I'm this person in this world, but I also have memories of a previous life that someone else led. And it's that kind of thing. Or like it's a meld between the two, where they have like conflicting things and their memories, but are those my memories or their memories? And those are interesting. And sometimes a lot of times it's, I was a salaryman and I just wanted to live a laid-back life, and now in this world I can, or things are conspiring to not let me. I was summoned to save the world, I'm the chosen one, those kinds of stories. In this instance, our main character had been paralyzed in a car accident. And I believe it was partial paralysis in a car accident. And light novels were an escape for him, like web stories. That is the thing he looked forward to, was reading. And so when he is mad that the ending of this is such crap, and he goes to bed angry, and he wakes up the next day inside the body, the first chapter, a good section of the first chapter, is him just being elated because he can walk around and he's strong. And he knows this character can get very strong. He's already strong as hell. But he's like, this character can get even stronger. And it doesn't immediately go, all right, now let's get into the plot of the story. They do allow some amount of time for him to relish the fact that he can move around. Like the Land of Leadale, which has a similar story of a girl who's been very sick, who dies and gets reincarnated into the character she played in an MMO, is somewhat similarly, she does have that elation, but we almost takes it for granted, like immediately, because she's living a weird, wild life that she doesn't really like take much time to think about how wild and weird all this shit is. But this manhwa does. There is time for our character to be so psyched to live in a healthy body. But that can't last forever because he knows the events of this story. He knows what happens in the story. He knows what's supposed to happen to his character and what happens to other characters. And so let me tell you about the story within the story. The world he inhabits, there is a terrible villain that is collecting power and that takes advantage of the hero and does some dastardly, awful things. And in the process of defeating that villain and saving the world, sacrifices are made. Terrible, terrible sacrifices are made. And our main character, or the main character of the novel, regrets those sacrifices. And his wish, as he defeats everything and is granted whatever wish he wants, is he destroys the world and reshapes it in his image as its natural ruler. Absolute power corrupts him absolutely. It's a shit ending. It's cool, but as a guy who is held up, who all he has is cool stories that he reads to kind of keep him going in his fairly miserable life, it pisses our main character off that this guy destroys everything because he's grumpy. He's just a grumpy emo guy, and he destroys the world. So that is the vow, the quest of our character. Our main character is, yeah, I'm going to live my life, and I'm going to be strong, and I'm going to do cool shit, but I'm also going to make sure that the hero does not succeed in what he wants to do. Okay, so this goes like this here. And I think that's fucking very interesting. I think that's super cool. That is... Oh, I put this in backwards. That is the plot of this manhwa. We are still in because it's a manhwa, it's a weekly series, not a lot happens in each chapter. We are still in the phase. We are just in the phase now where our main guy has left the nest. He has been training. He has been navigating. He is trying to grow his power as the bastard son of the main villain of the novel, and not be swept up like he is supposed to be in the story, to be used as a guard dog and eventually devoured. We learned this pretty late into where I'm at in the series that he's known this the whole time, that in order to grow the Duke, our main villain, for him to grow his power, he is sacrificing the life and energy of many of the children that he has spawned with people, because he only really needs one descendant, so he is using the other ones to increase his power. And our guy is basically, because our main character has found protection, they try to get at him before he can join up, which is interesting. I don't know. I have found the whole thing to be quite good. Let's see. How does this go? I do recommend it. I think that it is an interesting series. And I don't know. I think. Let's see. Is that the top one or the bottom? Sorry, this is a little confusing. I believe that this is where that's supposed to go. I'll find out soon if I did this incorrectly, but it's like where it is pointing me to put these pieces is not abundantly clear. So I'll find out soon. Also, there's some stickers I got to put on. Let me put on some stickers. So yeah, I think it's really solid. The extra is too strong. If you read Manhwa, if you like your full comic scrolling digital scroll stories, it's got something. A lot of cool fight scenes, interesting characters showing up. I think totally worth your time and energy. You do have an overpowered main character who knows the ways of the world. He's not the strongest by any means, but he has the determination to become stronger. And you also get a guy that, like, if you are interested in stories where a bunch of no-name assholes think that some guy isn't strong, and so they are throwing their weight around, and then they get fucking they learn the hard way. There's plenty of that early on in The Extra is Too Strong. So you do get that. You do get that shit, which is good. You know, I am a fan of that style of instant comeuppance from no-name bastards to suddenly just be like, wait, what the fuck just happened? How does that even work? How am I getting my ass kicked? Amazing. So yeah, that's the Extra is Too Strong. Now I want to hear from you. We have some time left in the stream, friends. So I gotta know. What are you watching right now? What are you playing right now? You've been to the movies this week. You're watching stuff on TV. Getting caught up on a manga or anime or video games. Oh boy, I finished a really difficult delivery in Mars First Logistics. So as you're thinking about maybe writing some stuff down, which I encourage you to do, I will tell you, yes, that in Mars First Logistics, I have completed a delivery task that really fucking pissed me off. It took me a long time to do, and I'm very happy about that. And that it was instantly replaced with another task that I have no fucking idea how to do. And the problem is there are two types of tasks. There are repeatable random side tasks where occasionally you get build items and money. You always get money. Sometimes you get build items, which is cool. And then there are main tasks, which give you blueprints, which give you a bunch of new ideas for builds and important gear, like instead of the hydraulic, which you can use to make like arm clamps that open and close, what about the telescopic hydraulic, which can go even farther and is way fucking better because you can go really wide and then get really narrow. You have to complete main tasks, and main tasks are often just impossible for me to wrap my head around. And so I have all three main tasks. I'm like, I have no idea. I have no idea how to maneuver in these and how to do them. So that is frustrating. That's my major feedback is main tasks are too fucking hard. And occasionally minor tasks are difficult, but also sometimes minor tasks are just easy and fun. It has been a game that I really enjoy. We'll be streaming it next Tuesday. I should also say that speaking of games, this past Tuesday, 2 days ago, I put a pin in it. We finished the fight on Pokemon Platinum Randomizer. The Pokemon Platinum Randomizer run that I have been doing for quite some time is finally over. We completed it by defeating the 8th gym leader, which was so annoying. The 8th gym was so fucking, like, infuriating. It was a dumb puzzle that I didn't quite understand, and that made it harder than it needed to be, but it was still also a very bad, not fun puzzle in its own right. We did that. We defeated the 8th gym. We made it across the water to Victory Road, and then we entered Victory Road, and that called it, and that's it. I don't think that on my own time, I could theoretically defeat the Elite Four and the champion. I don't think that would be super entertaining. So I don't plan on doing that. I will do another randomizer. I'm going to do Pokemon Black. When I'll do that, I do not know. It could be next month. It could be in the future. I could take a break from this. I looked. The Pokemon Platinum randomizer has not been updated since. I thought it might. It has not been updated in many years. It's still out there. But the Universal Pokemon randomizer, it's still out there doing its thing. And so, yeah, I'm thinking I want to stay on DS. So it was either black or white. I'm going to go with Pokemon Black. And that'll be the next game in my randomizer series because I think that's a good starting point game for that. But like I said, I want to stay on DS because the emulator I have works very well for streaming that game, the DS emulator that I have. So I would like to stick with that. And I like the setup I use for it. So if I like the setup and I like the ROM or the way to read the ROMs, I'm just going to do that. So that's the plan. Lord Crashing says, I finished the Persona 4 Endurance run, had some good fun, saw Vinny cast Bufu at the wrong time. Classic. The BTS behind the scenes video about how the series almost ended episode 50. The episode where Big Storm threatens their attempt to make a video. Yes, there were many challenges along the way with the Persona 4 Endurance run. A lovely thing that tested patience and friendships and work relationships, because now if they did it, they would do it from home, and one person would just be doing all that, and the other person would see what they were playing and hang out, and it would be a much different setup because it would be the home setup, and it wouldn't be a third person trying to balance all of that. You wouldn't need a producer to do it. It would probably be a much different experience, and maybe lose some of that magic not being in the same room together, but it would certainly be I would say, a simpler project if you were going to do the Persona 4 Endurance run. Hey, that reminds me. I'm going to look up Persona 4 Golden. I'm going to look up the Persona Golden mods to see if there are any new mods, because I haven't looked since I streamed. Let's see. Unmissable books. Huh. What is this? Quality of life mod gives you a second chance at a cost to acquire the following missable books by making them purchasable from the previous unused bookstore. Okay, so basically there are some books where you have a limited time to purchase them, and you might miss out on doing that. So this is adding them to a storefront in the city, Okinawa City, where there is a bookstore that isn't part of the game, and they use that as like a secondary bookshop. That is a nice, because there is an achievement for reading all of the books in one playthrough. But I'm not necessarily. I don't necessarily think that that's something that is needed for me. So that is not a mod that I would download. There are a few that came in since the last stream, so I'm going to take a look at those. But yeah, I don't see that. Lashberg says, I've been getting into Fortnite because I've been slacking this season and really want Optimus Prime. Okay, hey, goals. Do your Fortnite thing, Lashbrook. Get the dancing in. Lashbrook and Lord Crashing says, especially when they attempt to pull up a guide with what phones were in 2009. Yes. They would have guides up the whole time in another monitor, and it would be a far easier thing. And the guides for Persona 4 and Golden are well regarded and well used. Be a lot easier. You're right. Yeah, get your Fortnite on. Guaranteed item drops. This is, oh, this is not for, this is not for that. Okay, that's Persona. Oh, then Ultimate Persona Registration. What does this do? This mod allows the Ultimate Persona to be registered in the compendium once fused. When applied, your compendium completion percentage will be adjusted to reflect the extra persona. Oh. Yes, you may remember this, that in a new game file, you can merge a bunch of persona. I believe it's 12 persona. You can merge together to get the extra persona. But that persona is not in the compendium. This adds that to that. Okay, that's interesting. Ooh, the max study bonus. Oh, that is that updated yet? Yes. Okay. We don't need to worry about that because, yeah, that's fine. Okay. Don't have to worry about that. The Compendium Restoration Pack adds. Oh, it adds. So they're in the code for Persona 4. There are some Persona 3 personas that were in Fez and Portable. 21, in fact, that are not in Persona 4 and therefore not in Golden. And this mod adds them in. That's kind of interesting. That's not something I need. Especially because the way Persona 4... my Persona... Hey, have I talked about this? How my Persona 4 game is actually slightly busted? I don't know if I've said that. My Persona 4 game is slightly busted because I cheated from the very beginning of the game. In the game, I am supposed to level up, and at a certain point when I level up, it unlocks more Persona slots, because right now I only have 6, and I should have eventually 12. I can't get any more than 6 because I leveled up before that kicks in, and that's how the game, and it only affects people who have modded their save file to make them level 99 or whatever, which I believe I am. So I can only have 6 persona. Is that something they put in to stop people like me? No, I think it is just a glitch that no one has been able to mod because it's a byproduct of a cheat. It's my own fault. Do I need... It would be nice to have more persona slots so that I didn't have to trade things around when I'm trying to hang out with people. Because it does mean that, like, what I really need to do is I need to finish my social links with a couple people so that I can get rid of the persona for that group and then add in my own, the other ones I need for future social links. But it's fine. Last Brook had Optimus Prime skin. You had downloaded playing Unreal Tournament 2004, so you feel like it would be fitting. I hear you, Last Brook. No, that's a good enough reason. You have a history with it, so you would like to have it in this game. Totally understand. Lord Crashes didn't beat Pikmin 4 by rescuing Almar to get the first credits, and now you're working the rest of the game. Hell yeah. I hope you're having fun with Pikmin 4. I never really got into Pikmin. I owned Pikmin 1 and 2. I have beaten Pikmin 1. I don't know if I beat Pikmin 2. I don't remember. I probably didn't if I don't remember it. I never played 3, and of course I don't have a Switch, so I don't play 4. But my money situation is definitely not so much that I can buy a console, but I have on occasion considered a DS Lite, or not a DS Lite, what I'm saying, a Switch Lite. I have been on a page looking at a Switch Lite before thinking, what if I got a Switch Lite? But I have not pulled the trigger. It's weird because there are Pokemon games I haven't played. There are multiple Pokemon games that I have not played because I have never owned a Switch. And it's fucking weird to think about that. There are Pokemon I only have an opinion on from looking at online and not, battling with. And it's weird. So I have certainly thought on occasion, what if I got a Switch Lite? Played some Pokemon on it. I have not pulled the trigger on that. Okay, so let's see. The lip is like this. I think I am putting this in right. We'll find out later. This kit doesn't have any polycaps, so it just has plastic pieces that act like polycaps, which is fine. All right, so then this goes like this. All right. Okay, we are just about done with our stream tonight. We're going to get some of this leg done, and then we'll finish up the feet here and the legs on Saturday's stream. So we have something to look forward to, which is we had the chest done. We did the head and the arms and some of the legs. We got a lot done on this kit. This kit is coming together pretty fast, which is great. I don't think we're going to finish it on Saturday. My expectation is we will finish it on Monday and then start our Jurassic Park Lego set. Or if another kit comes in from my wish list, then I'll do a poll for my patrons about what to build next. But I did not do a poll after I finished the last Lego set. I just built this because I really wanted to build it. I just really wanted to work on it because it looks fucking rad. And it wasn't winning polls. So I just didn't do a poll. I've told my $10 patrons, I believe I've said this, that's not something I take lightly and not something I'm going to do consistently, but every once in a while there's just a kit that I really want to build for me, and so I build it for me. And also people seemed pretty psyched about this. And I think we're going to wrap things up there. I want to thank everybody for spending some time with me here on the old Build with Baer Workshop. The night is young. We are going to raid. That is how we end every stream. We're going to go find somebody doing cool shit out there that we want to go give some support to, hang out with them, see what's up. Who is streaming right now? Who is doing things and things? Let's see. How long has this person been going? I want to see. Oh no, they're 4 hours. We got to go before we get raided by them. That's the real thing. We're gonna go raid my friend Xandra. Love to Xandra. But yeah, I don't want to get raided by a friend of mine who is probably wrapping up. So we're gonna go raid Xandra. Feel free to come along on this raid. There's not a lot of you here at the end of the stream tonight. I don't know what happened. It was a pretty bumping night at the beginning, and then just we lost some friends along the way. But we're gonna go raid Xandra. I hope you have a great rest of your night. See you on the next stream. Come back on Saturday as I continue to work on this kit and do anime talk and video game talk and wrestling talk and all kinds of stuff. Talk to you soon. Bye, everybody. Goodbye, 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 goodbye.